What it do? It's your girl Ashanique back at it again with another video, and every day is a new day. As always, all praise be unto the Most High. Yeah, that's my king. Let's go right ahead and get into it, guys. So, here's the thing. The message I got today, the revelation I got, in which I already know, but the reminder I'll say that I got today as my day progressed was honor thyself. Honor thyself with self-care. Honor thyself by doing the things you said you were going to do. Honor thyself by not overworking yourself, by not overbooking yourself, and prioritizing rest as well. Prioritizing rest is a way to honor yourself, because rest is important and rest is needed. And if you're like me, you be going. A busybody, really. And you don't prioritize rest. And then maybe you're like me and you like, oh, I got this momentum going. Let me tell you the trick in it all. You'll have some momentum going after having some off days. Because you have off days, you have to understand the cycle of your life, the cycle of the months, especially as a woman. And maybe as a man too, I don't know. But some days we don't have the energy to be doing all of that. And then some days we do. It's part of the menstruation cycle. If you haven't looked into menstruation cycle and cycle syncing and things like that, I will urge you as a woman to look into it, because we should know what this thing is that we have to deal with every month. We should know what it is that we're dealing with, so we can know how to work with it and it not just always working against us. So I will highly suggest you guys get into cycle syncing and understanding the 4 cycles of the menstruation period and how it affects your mind, body, and mood. Okay, so hold on, y'all. And so, y'all, I'm on the move, y'all, so forgive me. I gotta put y'all down for a second, but just know I'm here, okay? Listen. And so it affects your day-to-day life. It affects your lifestyle. And so anything that affects your lifestyle to such a capacity that's reoccurring, we need to get the knowledge of this thing so we can know how to work with it and not have it work against us. Right? Hold on. And so, as it says in the word, my people perish because of lack of knowledge, right? And so everything that we're dealing with, things that are part of our lives, even ourselves, we have to gain an understanding of ourselves, understanding of our bodies, understanding of other people, right? So that we can have the proper knowledge to deal with what we're up against. Because if we don't know what it is we're dealing with, how can we ever work towards it? Hold on, y'all. That's an understanding on men, understanding women, understanding our bodies, our periods. We must understand these things. So when I say menstruation cycle, in case you don't know, it's just our periods, right? We need to have knowledge and understanding of our periods, because it's something that takes up, a mass majority of our lives, right? And then the cycle, right? The cycle does its own thing, and that's a whole month. So our body is going through a constant cycle, and we must understand what that is. So like I said, we can work with it and not have it work against us, y'all, right? And so with that being said, we know that we always say, oh, about to come on my period. We got an attitude, we emotion. We got to understand what that is and why. And we need to learn how to work with that thing and not have it always working against us. When I say honor thyself by getting to know thyself. Honor thyself by getting the proper knowledge of thyself. Because with the proper knowledge of thyself, with all thy getting, get understanding. With the proper understanding of thyself, we can figure out what we need to heal. We can figure out what we need to live our best life. We can figure out what we need to work at our highest potential. And so honoring thyself looks like staying on task, even when you want to do something like this. It's time to record a video, but I'm on task because right now it's time for us to get inside and get this homework started. So instead of doing what I usually do, which is sit in the car and just finish up this word for you guys, I'm honoring myself by staying on task and getting the job done. And y'all gonna come right along with me, right? By any means, right? It's honoring thyself, because I have set up a routine, I have set up a system that I want to keep in place so that my household and my day can run well. That's honoring thyself, right? Okay, get that homework started. There's so many things and there's so many ways for us to honor ourselves that I can't even really get into it right now. But like I said, I'll hit a few that's coming to mind. Honor thyself by working towards, well, I would say, but by planning, and sitting down and and so we honor ourselves by coming up with a plan and coming up with systems and things and ways to make our life easier. And also not just coming up with a system, because we can adopt anybody's systems and they may not work for us. So understanding thyself enough to know what works for you, right? That's a real thing. We have to figure out, okay, what works for me? What is going to work for me? What do I need? What do I enjoy, right? And incorporating things that you enjoy. Something that I've been doing is incorporating things that you enjoy hand in hand with things that you have to do with your day-to-day responsibilities, right? And making them mesh and come together. So taking that time to understand, sit with yourself enough to understand what it is you need, because in this time, day and age, we are often picking up so much content, so many ideas from other people, that we often find ourselves getting overwhelmed because we're trying to keep up with a system and a schedule that was built for somebody else. And so honor thyself by shutting off the noise, getting off of social media, getting offline, and sitting with yourself enough to get to know you, to figure out what it is you like. Because as we know, they call television and programming to program you. So basically, when you're sitting and you're consuming everybody else's life, everybody else's content, you're pretty much being programmed. Your mind is being programmed to receive those things and to try to implement those things in your life, right? But that is simply not what we should be doing, because we are not them and they are not us. And though we can pick up some things and take with us, everything is not going to be a one size fits all. So if you haven't taken the time to withdraw from the world and really sit with yourself to see what it is you need. And I mean completely withdraw. Even for those of us who are spiritually inclined, even withdrawing from watching other people's sermons and other people's messages and other people's spiritual words and revelations, because you can get those same revelations from the Lord yourself. And so sometimes we overconsume other people's, content, and we don't take the time to get to know ourselves and get to know God for ourselves when we can. But it's just a matter of pulling back and not over consuming other people's content and trusting in the Lord to speak to you, just like he speaks to those of us who do this, right? And so honor thyself by taking the time to get to know God for yourself. Stop having to be fed by everybody else, because you don't have to be. That is a choice. That's a choice. And maybe you didn't understand that was a choice. But now, I'm telling you that that's a choice. You don't have to have anybody all of the time holding your hand. Sometimes we get to a point where we've consumed enough information and now it's time to put it to action. But the reason why most people are not able to put that thing into action is because they don't take the time to withdraw. They don't take the time to withdraw so they can process things, so they can see what works for them, what does not work for them, so they can put the thing into practice. They're constantly consuming content and they're not able to be fruitful, right? The only way for you to be fruitful is for you to go into hiding. The only way for you to be fruitful is to withdraw. When we sow a seed into the ground, that seed has to go into darkness, right? That seed is not being bothered, right? And so out of sight, out of mind, you have to find a way to withdraw. Hey, y'all, so I don't remember the last thing I said, but I would just go back to saying, you honoring thyself looks like a lot of different things.